Welcome to this series on insights about organizational well-being. Our question for this week is, what must be done to make most employee wellness programs effective? This particular question is a very important one for the field of worksite wellness, and it's what must be done to make most employee wellness programs effective. The various things that need to be done include hiring and or training internal staff and program staff and vendor staff with the right skill mix. So our ability to have people that know how to design programs, know how to introduce them to populations, how to market them effectively, how to implement them, how to have that implementation lead to the evaluation and have it relate to the overall goals of the program. Those are the kinds of skills that are important in the people who manage it. It's nice to have someone who's willing to do this because they have the bandwidth to do it as an employee. But we really need to have people that know enough about this particular technical area to be able to do a good job. Secondly, getting senior management to prioritize the program's goals. Many programs don't have any goals, and they have a general sense of purpose, but not specific goals. And those goals need to be prioritized so that we can leverage them to actually get adequate budget funding and to get adequate efforts at implementation and emphasis on the part of our senior managers. We also need to rebalance the humanitarian and economic rationale for the program. Many employers do wellness because they believe, and I think rightly so, that it's an expression of concern and of interest and caring for their employees. And that's what I call the humanitarian side of the equation. We also need to work on the economic side of the equation, and that deals with the issue of health plan cost, workers' compensation costs, sick leave absenteeism, disability insurance costs, short-term and long-term, and then presenteeism costs. So that rebalancing of those two areas is an important part of our ability to establish a strategic value for our workplace wellness efforts. We also need to refocus the program on long-term habit formation. Much of what has happened in wellness over the last 4 decades in the US has been oriented toward short-term wellness behaviors, getting somebody to exercise for 3 weeks or getting them to eat well for 6 weeks. And we hope that that goes into long-term behavior change, but unfortunately, the science basically says it doesn't. Only a few end up having that long-term orientation. And to get and achieve the goals that management wants for our programs, we really need to be able to have long-term habit formation take place so that people become regular exercisers, they eat healthy, they handle their stress differently, they handle their sleep patterns and sleep activities and quality differently, wear seatbelts, do all the things that we know from our science and public health and epidemiology are important in human health. We also need to use the AMSO construct developed by Michael O'Donnell to structure our wellness programs. And that means we have to have a method for being able to deal with the individual's personal health and wellness issues. We also need to have a way of augmenting some of the limited intrinsic motivation that exists in our workplace and our workforce. And we also need to have a way of conveying new skills so that people can do new behaviors in wellness. And the last issue of the AMSO construct is we need to be able to structure enough opportunity to practice so that people, in fact, develop that long-term habit. So using AMSO is an important part of making our programs more effective at actually producing long-term behavior change. We also need to strategically revise the behavioral targets that we work on, that we take on, and the accompanying interventions that go along with those. And we need to refine the measurement metrics to focus on the desired results of the program, which are driven and should be driven by the prioritized goals that management has for our wellness efforts. And we need to install a significant health plan premium contribution and reduction for meeting various wellness criteria. We want to keep people focused on a broad range of wellness issues. And we also want them to feel that there's significant enough and tangible enough reason for them to engage and participate in our wellness programs. We also need to involve credible and respected employees in the program's planning and implementation so that we, in fact, can have a credible base of employees behind the program that people can respect and honor and respond to. We also need to develop and use a sound technology infrastructure to deliver the program and the wellness program, particularly with a lot of the remote employees, post-COVID that are not returning to the work site. It's important that we have a good technology infrastructure. In WellCert, we really look at 3 building blocks of that technology infrastructure, and that's smartphone apps, the issue of learning management systems and how they communicate and provide the information people need, and then the eHealth portal and its various capabilities. So those 3 kind of linchpins to our technology infrastructure are important for us to be able to look at long term and to use to actually make our programs more effective. We also need to integrate the program, the wellness program, more deeply throughout our organization. And in the WellCert program, we talk about level 1 integration, level 2 integration, and level 3 integration. And those are done in sequence so that you, in fact, build a strong cultural norm and cultural value around wellness for your organization and for your workforce. And finally, we also need to conduct a thorough, formative-oriented annual evaluation. And that means essentially that we are doing evaluation that allows us to know what it is that we need to do in order to move the program more closely toward its goals and toward the achievements and results that are desired. So in summary, the main point here is that there are a clear set of actions that will help most employee wellness programs be effective at being able to both improve the health of employees and also affect the economics of worker health, which are important for virtually all organizations. For more information on this topic, put the following search strings into your web browser. First of all, keys to effectiveness of employee wellness programs. Secondly, best practices for employee wellness programs. And third, better results for employee wellness programs. Next week, we will be answering the question, how should we think about the results of employee wellness programs? And for more information, please visit our website at www.chapmaninstitute.com.